Let's see how to enter stiffeners in CYPE Connect to solve a connection between a column and a beam. Starting from a previously created node, we select it in the table on the left-hand side of the interface and edit the connection by clicking on the corresponding button at the top. In the Connection pop-up window in the Model tab, we must specify the operations needed to define the connection. In this example, an end plate has been entered to connect the beam to the column. We are now going to enter stiffeners in the column to improve the connection behaviour. To do this, we click on the stiffeners option in the top toolbar. First, we select the section where the stiffeners are located, in this case, column C1. Further on, we choose the stiffeners material. We click on the button on the right to open the drop-down menu and then on Accept. If we now click on the button with the material name, we can consult and modify its reference, description and properties, such as modulus of elasticity, Poisson's ratio, coefficient of thermal expansion, unit weight, yield strength and fracture limit. On the right, we can specify the resistance depending on the thickness. The next section allows us to define stiffeners geometry. Here, we type in the value of the thickness, bevel at the flange, and bevel at the web. Optionally, we can activate the corresponding checkbox to specify that the width of the stiffeners is different from that of the section. Then, we define the stiffeners position. In the type selector, we can choose local or in the direction of a section. In this case, the stiffeners will follow the outline of a particular section. Here, we choose the second option and select beam B1. When we do so, the viewer on the right shows us the result of the operation. Next, we configure the stiffeners location. This can be on the top flange, on the bottom flange, on both flanges, or in the centre. On the other hand, the slope can be local or defined in the direction of the section that has been previously selected. To adjust the stiffeners geometry, we can also enter a top edge separation and a bottom edge separation. Below, we indicate whether the stiffeners are located on the left side, right side, or both sides of the section. If desired, we can directly define the welds of the stiffener to the flanges and the web of the section by activating the corresponding checkboxes. In the first drop-down menu, we have several possibilities for defining the position of the weld, on the left side, on the right side, or on both sides, as is our case. In the second drop-down menu, we choose if the welds are fillet welds defined by throat thickness or by side thickness, or by double bevel butt welds. In the third drop-down menu, we set the shape of the weld surface, whether it is not defined, flat, concave, convex, or with toes blended smoothly. In the fourth drop-down menu, we indicate the place of execution, either on site or at a workshop. In our case, we define fillet welds by throat thickness with a dimension of 4 mm. We can also set the electrode parameters, including its reference and the resistance of the filler metal. Finally, we specify whether the welds have an initial or final displacement. By default, the program places the weld on the flat part of the web, interrupting the weld at the section's chord radius. Now, let's see how to enter a stiffener onto the column at any position. To do this, we create a copy of the previous operation by selecting it in the table on the left and clicking on the Copy button at the top. While maintaining the rest of the data, in the Position section we choose Local in this case. This way, we can freely indicate the position of the stiffener without depending on the geometry of another section. To do this, we type in the value of displacement x, which follows the local x-axis of the section. We must also specify the stiffener's slope by typing in its value in degrees. Then, in a similar way to the previous case, we enter the top edge separation and the bottom edge separation, and we define the side of the section where the stiffeners are placed, either on the left side, on the right side, or on both sides. Finally, we indicate the number of stiffeners, which can be equal to or greater than 1, in which case we type in the spacing between them. From here, once the model is finished, we can continue our work by opening the Analysis tab to analyse the connection.